I tried to strengthen New Zealand's position just on the very issue of the atrocities that were unfolding in the weeks following the Hamas attack on Israel. This was something that I did have a good look at, and we had formulated the policy that it was time for New Zealand to take the next step and formally recognise Palestine as a state. David Seymour clearly was going to block the government forming any kind of consensus-based decision. That should not have stopped the government doing it anyway, particularly when they knew that they could reach across the aisle. They would have had support from Labour, they would have had support from the Greens. So there would have been a broad cross-party, cross-parliament consensus on the matter. But Christopher Luxon's too weak to reach out and do that. He's once again letting David Seymour and Winston Peters hold the government to ransom. The last thing Winston Peters wanted was his comments being reported on the international news with signs of people in New Zealand protesting against their own government's position. This is vintage Winston Peters. You know, he does it when he's involved in government coalition negotiations. It's all about hogging the spotlight for as long as he can possibly get it. It's embarrassing for us as a country. It's, I think, a shameful position for New Zealand to be taking in an area where we previously were recognised as being a leader, a principled and valued leader. We're now seen as being totally on the wrong side of this argument. But Winston Peters' speech, where he effectively attacked Australia, the UK and Canada, is something that we are likely to see some political repercussions for, even if it is just in the way those countries react and interact with us in the short term. He basically attacked them for the position that they have taken, which is a far, far more principled position than the New Zealand government's taken. Winston Peters, you know, politics are sort of trapped in the 1970s. They were forged during the time of Muldonism, and that's about where his value system sits. If re-elected to government, we'd be formally recognising Palestine after the election. I think that it's the right thing for New Zealand to do. I said before the last election that Labour wouldn't work with Winston Peters had we been in a position to form government after the last election, and of course we weren't in a position to form government after the last election. I can tell you there's not a day gone past since then that I have regretted that decision. So in terms of the next election, I think it's highly unlikely our position will change. The way Winston Peters and David Seymour have held the government to ransom, that's just not the style of politics that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in a style of politics which sees the smaller parties, whomever they are, trying to drive wedges between New Zealanders in order to carve out a share of vote. And Christopher Luxon just won't do anything about it. It's clear that they're letting Winston Peters and David Seymour run circles around them.